everybody, it's Taylor with the Daily Geddon. I know I am back again. I have been on a little bit of a hiatus. I understand things have been busy. We're moving, all that good stuff. But we are here today to talk about SB 8 in the Texas legislature. That is the Texas Heartbeat Bill, better known as. And what we're going to talk about today is the text of the bill. We're not going to be talking about the legality of abortion, whether it's right or wrong, whether it's moral or immoral. That's not what we're here for. So if you're here for that discussion, you can go ahead and turn the video off, because I'm going to be talking about the text of the bill, because there are some nuances that I don't think have been covered in a lot of the bigger articles that discuss what is actually in the bill. Now granted, they do hit the big points, but I wouldn't be bringing you a video if I didn't think I had something to add to the discussion. So with that, let's go ahead and get into it. Before we get too deep into it, I do want to address, I did get a new camera, so you can see so much more of my room now. You can see so much more. I'm still getting used to it, still understanding what looks best, all that good stuff. I was using this little old crappy camera, and I just decided I'd go ahead and get something a little bit better. Something that maybe you can see me a little bit better with, something you can see more of my room with, something that fits the YouTube resolution a little bit better. But with that, I'm still getting used to it, so bear with me. That's all I ask. I do want to start out by asking you a question, because the topic of abortion and what we're talking about now and the legality of it and making laws around it really arose from religious roots. So my question to you is there anywhere else in either the federal or state level or any other legislation that you can really think of where there is a lack of church and state, or there may be some evidence that there was some religious influence on the laws themselves? Because we're supposed to have a separation of church and state in America. Anyways, that's my question to you. Leave a comment down below. If you've got any examples, let me know. So first things first, it's called the Heartbeat Bill because it is all about a fetal heartbeat, and it outlaws abortion if there's a fetal heartbeat detected after 6 weeks of pregnancy. And supposedly that is about the typical time that you should get a checkup during your pregnancy to see if there is a fetal heartbeat. Now, if there's not a fetal heartbeat, then you can legally get an abortion under this law, as long as your doctor has reasonably gone through all the checks and balances and whatever they need to do, all of the right systems to check for a fetal heartbeat, and checks off and says that there is none. Under those circumstances, you can get an abortion. Otherwise, you cannot in the state of Texas. That's what this law says. So that is one of the highlights. The next part about this bill that everyone has talked about is the bounty. And it is very true that there is a $10,000 claim that you can make on a person that you think or know got an abortion. You can get $10,000 from them, as well as attorney's fees cost, if you take them to court and you win your case. And that is not where it ends. You can take anybody that you think aided or abetted that person in getting an abortion. Did they drive them to the hospital? Did they talk to them or counsel them about it? Literally anything you think that they did that aided or abetted someone getting an abortion, under this law, you can claim $10,000 plus attorney's fees from that person if you take them to court. Now, for some of the probably lesser known things about this bill, it does provide for abortions if the mother's health risk is a concern. If the doctor thinks that the baby is at risk to the mother, the doctor can write a report stating what the risk is and then perform the abortion legally under this law. The other part about this is there is a statute of limitations. You can go up to 4 years back to when the abortion happened. So if you had an abortion in the last 4 years, you can still have claims brought up against you for that event. 4 years under this law. This is where the bill begins to get a little more nuanced, in the fact that that if you look at the language of the bill and understand it a little bit more, there might be a couple loopholes. I'm not saying that I've cracked the system, but it's definitely some interesting language within the bill. And the first one that I want to talk about is the instance of the mention of the Supreme Court cases Roe v. Wade and Casey versus Planned Parenthood. These are the two huge Supreme Court cases that have to deal with the legality of abortion. In Roe v. Wade, it was found that the 14th Amendment guarantees a woman the right to privacy and the right to an abortion, basically. And there was a system set up that was the 3-trimester system, where states could legislate based upon what trimester the pregnancy was in. That system of 3 trimesters was then thrown out in Casey versus Planned Parenthood, where we came up with a fetal viability model. And the fetal viability model says, can the baby survive outside the mother? Therefore, it qualifies for fetal viability. Typically, that happens around 26 weeks within the pregnancy. But my point being that this bill is about a 6-week heartbeat bill, basically, right? You find the heartbeat at 6 weeks. The Supreme Court today, the leading precedent, says that 26 weeks is the minimum for fetal viability, or at least the definition within fetal viability itself contradicts this 6-week mentality. So whoever wrote this bill, unless they have some other science that they might be able to provide that says at 6 weeks a baby can live outside the mother and qualify for fetal viability, this bill inherently goes against the precedent set by the Supreme Court. And anybody that would, first of all, put that court case into their own bill, I would hope would know that that's what the precedent is and understand that they're going directly against that precedent. Now, it is legal for them to do that. They most certainly can pass any law that they want that says anything, and it can get adjudicated by the Supreme Court, or by any court really, that says this is the legality, or this is how it's going to be carried out. It's kind of how this type of thing is done. You can test legislature, you can test laws, you can make crazy laws, but until a court actually adjudicates on it, unfortunately, it still is technically incorporated into the Texas legislature. The reason that that's so unfortunate is because someone somewhere is going to have to test this law. Some human, some person. Unless, of course, it just gets struck down by the Supreme Court. Maybe they have that power. I'm sure that they do, to just say this is unconstitutional. But there is a chance out there that someone would have to go through a court case that gets dredged all the way through this. They have to spend all this time, all this energy, all this money going through this, even though the precedent that is set immediately goes against this 6-week heartbeat bill. There is another section of this bill that I just think is absolutely hilarious, where whoever was drafting this bill, whoever sponsored this bill, whoever this bill's idea was, whatever, they basically just said that the Supreme Court's interpretation of the 14th Amendment as it applies to the First Amendment doesn't apply here. So essentially, all the decisions that the Supreme Court has made up to this point regarding people's privacy and right to religion and all that stuff, all the stuff protected by the First Amendment, doesn't apply in this situation. They're just robbing you of your First Amendment rights. I think that is absolutely hilarious that any American, especially politician, any politician at all, would put that in a bill and not expect people to say something about it. Hey, here's your First Amendment. It basically makes you an American, but we're going to take that away because it doesn't work out for us and our constituency the best. I think that is absolutely hilarious. And I think this part of the bill in general should be struck down as unconstitutional just by definition. But let me know what you guys think. I think that is absolutely ridiculous. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about this section. So if you watched this far, I want to thank you again for sticking around. There's just one point that I want to make about this bill. It in no way allows for anyone who gets a claim filed on them, so someone who may or may not have gotten an abortion legally or illegally in the state of Texas, you can file a claim against them. It gives them no rights to then countersue you for that $10,000 reward should your defense be viable or whatever in court. There is no way that you can reclaim your attorney's fees or any of your legal costs, as well as that $10,000 bounty. So, if you wanted to, you could basically legally take anyone to court that a court would hear and try to file a claim against them and almost have little to no repercussions except for your own attorney's fees. So you could just keep people in court the entire time and just jam up the court system and ruin somebody's life if you really wanted to. Or at least that's the way I see this, as a legal loophole. But that's all I have for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I am glad to be back. I'm glad to finally do this video. I've been thinking about it for a really long time. If you liked the video, please subscribe. Let me know what you guys think in the comments about the new camera, about this bill in general. Just anything really. Leave me a comment. Go follow me on Twitter. Thanks guys. Have a good one.